Let's talk about ULTY today and see if we can find out if it's trash, if it's good, if it's just an okay fund. Let's go through what we've learned over the month and a half since it's been out. This is Mike, the Tactical Stock Scalper. All right. So ULTY is definitely groundbreaking in the covered call space. I don't know of another fund that's really doing what they are doing. What are they doing? They are going after underlyings, which have a very high IV, which is, volatility. And there's other criteria that has to be met for them. I mean, they're not just going after a penny stock with low volume that has a lot of volatility. There has to be some criteria met for them, and one of them is volume. The rest of them, they're not really sharing. And that's okay, because I'm sure they don't want the competitors, with so many different competitors coming out now in a cover call space, they probably don't want to divulge that information, and that's smart on their end. So with that being said, they are chasing funds, underlyings, that have a high volatility. And there's some risk and benefits to that, which we're going to discuss. Now, let's talk about the underlyings first. Are the underlyings great? Are they good? Are they bad? Well, some are good, some are okay, some are horrible, right? Some of the underlyings are trash. You can't cut it any other way. And Mike, how do you know this? Well, many of them I've traded before, and I'm very familiar with some of these underlyings. Now, because I trade them, I'm in and out quickly, but I'm still well versed in many of these underlyings, and they're just not good companies. But that's not what they're after. They're not after the stability of these companies. And they do rotate these funds that they're after, every now and again. I don't know their schedule on how they rotate their funds, how they do it weekly, bi-weekly, and what their criteria is for doing that. But they do rotate their funds. But their model is to go after high IV underlying stocks, right? So with that being said, there's always going to be some crap funds in there, but there's also going to be good ones, right? So does it matter? Well, yeah, it matters, because if you have some really poor funds, it's going to drag the share price down. And we've already seen it happening. But that doesn't mean it's bad necessarily, because this type of investment tool fits one need and one need only, and that is yield. So let's talk about that. The yield is incredible. There is no way around that. The yield is great. I mean, for 2 weeks, they paid over $1, right? Can you imagine what a month is going to be? We're going to find out here next week. So if you are solely after yield, this may have a spot in your portfolio, right? If this is just what you're after. I mean, you're paying over 70% annualized. Guys, that's incredible. That's really, really good. And so it can really fit that bill if you're going after yield. Okay. Jay said this is the most aggressive yield max fund. And you know what? I found that fascinating, because Jay's really guarded, and he's a very, I think anyway, very intelligent man. And he's really guarded sometimes on things he says, as to not get hopes too high or too low, right? He's pretty guarded. But when he comes out and says this is the most aggressive yield max fund, you can count on that, right? If that man says it just like that, you know it is. So what does that mean? Well, that means he's going to be very aggressive going after yield, as we've already seen just after a 2-week display of what they paid. But that also means there's some downside risk with that. He wouldn't say it's the most aggressive fund. And the more aggressive you are, the more risk you take on as an investor. Now look, there's always risk in the market. There's always risk. Doesn't matter what you invest in. However, the level of risk really coincides with the fund you're going after. Let's just say Walmart, for instance. Low risk, low reward. Now, can something happen to Walmart and go out of business, something like an Enron or something like that? Yeah, it can definitely happen, but the risk is really small, right? So there's always risk. This one does appear to have the greatest risk, and its stock price right now is showing that, honestly. Okay, so share price stability. Does it have it? Well, right now, no. It's trading at close at 17.14, and it came out a month and a half ago. You can't blame that on the dividend because the dividend came out after 2 weeks, right? So it's having a hard time, even when the markets were going up, catching traction going up, and that's probably due to some of the poor underlyings that it's holding. So what does that mean? That means that if you want stability in your account, and you want that share price stable, and you want that for your account, ULTY is probably not the fund for you. If you want really aggressive, high yield, share price be darn out the window, you don't care. You're focused on the yield. You think your ROI will be paid off quickly due to the yield, then this fund could be for you. Now, right now, does it have a place in my personal portfolio? No, it doesn't, because that's not what I'm after, right? As I'm getting closer to retirement for me and my investment plan, stability is really important to us as a family. Our goal is to pull the dividends and live off them for as many funds as we can. It's not to have a bunch where I have to constantly reinvest to keep the share price stable. That's not what we are after personally. And I know anytime someone gives an opinion on a fund that doesn't fit their need, people get upset for some strange reason. They get upset that whatever doesn't fit your plan makes them upset. Frankly, I don't care, right? It doesn't fit my plan currently. Now, could it in the future? Well, absolutely it could in the future. I just have to see how it goes and just watch it as it matures through time and see what happens. Now, currently it doesn't, but that doesn't mean it won't. Now, what would I like to see? Well, I would like to see a fund just like ULTY that does the same model, but maybe after like the top 50 stocks, right? With some certain IV, like Meta and, Google, whatever. And go after those blue chip funds. I would love that because I would feel secure, and I would think that would have some share price appreciation in addition to stability, right? But that's not what this particular fund is designed for. So is it trash? No. Is it good? It just depends on you and your investment plan and what you personally are after. Just because I don't like it for now and it doesn't fit my plan doesn't mean it doesn't fit your plan, right? So everyone's investment goals are different. It's personal finance for a reason. Each person has their own individual plan that they're going after. I will say this, ULTY is definitely safer than shooting dice in an alley, right? So I'll say that. I'll give it that. But it's up to you and your plan and how you want to work your investment strategy. Hope you enjoyed the content. This is Mike, the Tactical Stock Scalper, out.